Good evening. Today is Thursday, April 23rd, 2026. Welcome to the MPS Board of Education meeting. The official time is 7:01. I have myself, Howard White. To my right is Dr. Estrada. Started here, Marcus. Can you start off with each board member, state your name as well, please?
Hi, I'm Marcus Hyman.
Diana Carpio. Jasmine Prezi.
Mary Ellen Flaherty Ludwig.
Ashley Gullius. Sherry McCready Pritchett.
Garrett Oliver.
Nellie Cole.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. Welcome. Can we now stand for the pledge of allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, I'm turning over to the spotlight.
Thank you. We have a few spotlights this evening. Sherry's going to help me read them. Our first spotlight is Arab American Heritage Month 2026. The Norwalk Board of Education is proud to recognize and celebrate the month of April as Arab American Heritage Month. The National Arab American Heritage Month initiative was launched in 2017 by the Arab America Foundation. Arab American Heritage Month honors the rich history, diversity, and enduring contributions of Arab Americans across the United States. The 2026 theme, Many Voices, One Community, reflects the breadth of Arab American identities while affirming the shared values that unite the community. Co-founders Warren and Dr. Amal David chose the month of April for several reasons. First being, they didn't want to take away from other minority community heritage months or to conflict with summer vacations, graduations, or the start of school. The second and most important reason, according to the Davids, was for symbolic purposes of April, which marks the beginning of the spring season. It also symbolizes hope, growth, color, and new beginnings. The Arab American Institute estimates 3.7 million Arab Americans live in the United States. They constitute an ethnicity made up of several waves of immigrants from the Arabic-speaking countries of the Middle East, North Africa, and Sub-Saharan Africa that have been settling in sizable numbers in the United States since the 1880s. Arab Americans' heritage reflects a culture that is thousands of years old and includes 22 Arab countries as diverse as Palestine, Yemen, Sudan, and Morocco. The majority of Arab Americans are born in the United States, and 86% of Arabs in the US are citizens. While the community traces its roots to every Arab country, the majority of Arab Americans have ancestral ties to Lebanon, Egypt, Syria, Palestine, and Iraq. Throughout April, the Norwalk Board of Education proudly celebrates the Arab American community in our schools and our city and invites everyone in the Norwalk community to take a moment to learn more about this vibrant culture and their significant contributions to our nation. And Sherry is going to read our next two spotlights.
Autism Acceptance Month, April 2026. To bring acceptance to the unique perspectives of people with autism and autism spectrum disorder, the Norwalk Board of Education is proud to recognize April as National Autism Acceptance Month. April has widely been known as Autism Awareness Month in the United States as a way to empower autistic individuals and their families. Over the last few years, the autism community has shifted its language to National Autism Acceptance Month to match the growing need for acceptance within the community. Norwalk Public Schools wants to thank Jeff Spar, Deputy Corporation Counsel for the City of Norwalk, for inviting members of the Norwalk Board of Education, the district's Specialized Learning Department, and MPS community to be a part of the worldwide Light It Up Blue campaign on the Norwalk Green on April 13th. We heard inspirational stories from people in our community living on the autism spectrum, including board member Nellie Cole. We also enjoyed a beautiful keyboard performance of the Beatles' Let It Be by Norwalk Next Step students, Juan Quesada. In the school community, Autism Acceptance Month is an opportunity for schools to champion inclusion, celebrate diversity, and foster understanding of autism within their communities. It's about more than acceptance. It's about how you show up for your pupils and peers to create a school environment where every child feels valued, supported, and included. Autism spectrum disorder and autism are both general terms for describing neuroatypical brain development. Autism impacts social and communication skills. It exists in all races, ethnicities, and social groups. Some 5.4 million American adults and 1 in 36 children have been diagnosed with autism. Boys are 4 times more likely to be diagnosed with autism than girls. Early intervention can improve learning, communication, and social skills, as well as underlying brain development. Applied behavior analysis and therapies based on its principles are the most researched and commonly used behavioral interventions for autism. Many autistic individuals benefit from early interventions such as speech and occupational therapy. More recently, inclusive programming and support have shown significant promise as children are provided the opportunity to learn alongside their neurotypical peers while receiving targeted and intense interventions. NPS provides students with a variety of support systems throughout the district, including co-teaching classrooms, LEAP, high school programming, and NPS transition programs. The district is also working to install 10 new communication boards on school playgrounds that can help bridge the communication gap between non-speaking or minimally speaking individuals and their caregivers, teachers, and peers. By declaring April as Autism Acceptance Month, the Board of Education aims to foster acceptance to ignite change through improved support and opportunities for autistic individuals. NPS Paraeducator Appreciation. The Norwalk Board of Education is proud to recognize our paraeducators this month. The first week of April is Paraeducator Appreciation Week, a time to honor the dedicated paraeducators who make a lasting impact on the lives of our students each and every day. Paraeducators are essential members of our school communities, and they provide critical support in classrooms, assist in the delivery of instruction, and build meaningful relationships with students that help foster academic success and emotional well-being. They are particularly vital in supporting students with disabilities and those facing learning challenges, often working in close collaboration with special education teachers to ensure all children receive the support they need to succeed. The profession of paraeducation has evolved significantly. Once viewed narrowly as assistant roles, paraeducators are now recognized as skilled professionals with valuable expertise. In Connecticut, paraeducators complete extensive training to prepare for their roles, gaining the knowledge and tools required to provide direct student services in dynamic educational settings. From supporting individual learning plans to helping manage classrooms and extracurricular programs, paraeducators are the heartbeat of our schools. Their work is essential to student achievement and critical to creating inclusive and engaging learning environments across our district. Throughout the month of April, Norwalk Public Schools social media channels have been highlighting paraeducators across the district. School leaders and staff were invited to nominate outstanding paraeducators who embody the spirit of NPS Village. These individuals are being recognized for playing a critical role in supporting student success, building strong relationships, and creating inclusive learning environments. Norwalk Public Schools is committed to educational excellence and equity, and we recognize that this mission is only possible through the partnership and dedication of our paraeducators. We are proud that the profession is gaining long overdue respect, and we are deeply grateful for the impact these professionals make every day. The Norwalk Board of Education wishes to thank all our paraeducators for your compassion, your perseverance, and your tireless support of Norwalk students.
Can our powers, please come forward so we could take a picture together, and, I know Ms. Hope Wyatt is here, she could join us.
Our fourth and final spotlight this evening is National School Library Month. The Norwalk Board of Education is proud to recognize the month of April as National School Library Month. Led by the American Association of School Librarians, this month we celebrate school libraries and the people who make them special, school librarians. On April 4th, Norwalk Public Schools also recognized National School Librarian Day, honoring our exceptional team of library media specialists. These educators play a vital role in supporting student growth by providing access to diverse materials that meet a wide range of interests, reading levels, abilities, and learning needs. School libraries provide access to both physical and digital books, encouraging students to read for pleasure and explore new ideas. They offer materials that reflect the varied interests, abilities, socioeconomic backgrounds, and maturity levels of the students they serve, ensuring that every learner can find meaningful and engaging resources. Beyond resources, school librarians serve as welcoming, positive environments where all students can access a well-managed space that supports free expression and the open exchange of ideas. These spaces foster curiosity, creativity, and a lifelong love of reading. The AASL efforts for a National School Library Month were spearheaded by Lucille Thomas, chair of the School Library Media Month Committee. Thomas was appointed by President Judy King in 1983. Their work came to fruition on April 1st, 1985, when AASL officials, local and national dignitaries celebrated the first School Library Month with a ceremony on the west steps of the U.S. Capitol. The Norwalk Board of Education thanks NPS library media specialists for your dedication, care, and commitment to opening doors to endless possibilities for our students' futures. And I believe we have a few of our library media specialists with us tonight. And so if you are here, please come forward. Audra Good from Brookside, Stephanie Beebe from Marvin, Renee Niger from Cranberry. And if there's anyone else here, please come forward and let's join for pictures.
Hope you should join us and do support. Ralph, come on. Are we all settled? Any other side? Thank
Thank you, Ashley. Thank you, Sherry, for reading those spotlights. It's a wonderful occasion for those, once again, take this opportunity to thank each and every one of you on your wonderful occasions and continue to do the wonderful jobs that you are doing. As far as, do we have anyone online as far as the public?
JD, is there anybody online? JD, is there anybody online?
up?
Yes, there are two people online.
Two people online?
Jess Hopkins is the first.
Okay.
Are we going to online first?
Before you start with Jeff, let me take this opportunity to just remind those before you speak, please state your name and address. Always also keep in mind that there are those that are behind you as well. So any comments or anything, all we're here for is just to listen to those comments. Anything other than that, we will follow up on it. But just be mindful, you have 3 minutes. So Jeff, if you're ready, we're ready for you as well.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Awesome. My name is Jessica Hopkins. I live at 34 Union Avenue in Norwalk, Connecticut. I know that I have run out of 3 minutes every single time I've spoken. This will be brief and quick. I just wanted to personally come on tonight and thank you, the Board of Ed, for listening to us and making us feel valued and our opinions heard, and for handling this swiftly and finally listening to the fact that we needed help. And we greatly appreciate you as a Silvermine community. We are rebuilding and we are ecstatic with what is to come for our community. And I just wanted to personally come on and say thank you.
Thank you.
And that's it. I'm done.
Okay, next is Z King.
Hello, everyone. Hi, this is Dina King. I live at 7 Nursery Court. And I'm calling, I am a Silvermine parent. I'm calling as well just to acknowledge what has happened at Silvermine. I feel like it was a long time coming. And that in order to see any change, any positive changes at the school, that there was a lot that had to happen. We went through a lot. We had a lot of parents and a lot of people in the community advocate for what we thought was right for our school, for our children. And it's been really nice to see that the board and the town have been behind us and have helped in instituting some positive changes. In terms of being at Silvermine, Mr. Duche has been amazing in the short time that he's been there. He has made so many changes in that short time period, changes that we advocated for over 3 years, and absolutely nothing was done in a short period of time. I couldn't even begin to go down the list of things he's done. Everything from instituting protocols around attendance, to personally getting to know students, making them feel welcome in the school, to doing things like leveraging resources that we have, monetary resources, to implement programs to help support our students. We know that the past year or two have gone by where our students have not gotten the right support to enable their Spanish language skills, and he's already on the ball with regards to that. So I want to say thank you because I'm going from a place of desperation to a place of hope and inspiration, and I feel like as a community, there are so many great things to come for Silvermine. So thank you.
Thank you.
And then that was everybody online.
That's it. Thank you. Next item on the agenda will be the chair report, and that's the community session. This is a workshop that took place on April 14th, which is last week, and that was one of the main things that myself and Dr. Soraya had a conversation with to more or less get the community more involved. We had our first session last week. 2 items that we discussed at that meeting was geared toward facilities and curriculum. And I thought it was a very successful event. I'd like to take this opportunity just to acknowledge the purpose and the reason is to more or less give the community the opportunity to be involved and hear exactly the wonderful things that we're doing here in the Norwalk Public School system. The goal is to move forward and to make sure that we always add that part in. That way, that gives the community the opportunity to be more involved. So I'd like to take this opportunity again to Dr. Sher to thank you and your cabinet members that performed that. It was great, and I'm looking forward to the direction that we're headed in as far as the community session is concerned. So once again, I'd like to just personally say thank you.
I think one of the things that Chairperson White and I had spoken about was giving the community an opportunity to ask questions, because in the board meetings, that is not something that we can do when we're following Robert's rules. And I know that Chairperson White wanted to make sure that the community had an opportunity to engage in Q&A around the work. And I have to say that we had a really rich and robust conversation with members of the community that were there. You can see the session on video if you didn't have an opportunity to attend, and I'm hoping that many more people continue to join us in these conversations that I feel will help build clarity in the work that's happening across the organization, and also give an opportunity to engage in a more natural dialogue with the community.
Thank you. Now we're going to move to our next item on the agenda. I'd like to turn it over to Dr. Estrella, the superintendent report.
Thank you, Chairperson White. So I'm going to switch the order in which I'm going to be presenting the information, just because the piece on the panorama survey is very brief. I just wanted to make the board aware that we just concluded the panorama surveys across the district. And this year is going to serve as a baseline year for the panorama survey, because the questions in the survey have shifted. They actually worked really hard to readjust the questions to make them clearer for students and families. And as a result of that, the survey this year will serve as our baseline so that we can measure with subsequent years. Unfortunately, the surveys that we've taken in the past will not be comparable because of the fact that the questions now are different. But I do believe that the survey will provide a lot of insightful information of where we are and the work that we need to do moving forward. We're looking to present this information next month at the business meeting. And I just wanted to give that brief update to the board that it's going to be a baseline, and we won't have comparables like we have done in the past because of the shift. And I'll now move to the second item. I'd like to ask Mr. Asmani to join me for this portion of the conversation. I was hoping that the conversation today was going to be one of more of celebrating that we were moving towards the end of the budget process. Unfortunately, based on yesterday's vote by the BET, there are a lot of areas of concern that we are still engaging in conversation. We've had an array of conversations with members of the BET and members of the city, trying to make sure that the city, the BET, Common Council have a full understanding of the needs of our district, particularly because after the pandemic, I think everyone knows that costs across not only our system, but across the nation have continuously increased. And in the same way that it's increased in groceries and other factors that are common to people, they've also had a significant impact in the school system in terms of what it takes to serve our students. One, utilities, materials, and services have grown up. The costs have exponentially grown. But coupled with that, services, because of shortage areas, have also escalated. And all of these factors have contributed to increasing the cost associated with servicing our students. We've had conversations over the scope of the past few months where we talked about some enrollment decline across the district, which is really aligned to what's happening nationally in public schools. Yet at the same time, the number of students needing additional services has increased across the organization. So though enrollment numbers have dwindled slightly, the cost to service students has increased because the type of services students need in our district has been elevated. So those are things that as we have immersed in conversations with the board, we've immersed in conversations with members of the city, we have continuously highlighted. And one of the things that I've kept reiterating is that if the funding that's coming into the schools does not equate to the cost, the rising cost that the school system is incurring year after year, we're inevitably placed in a predicament that we have to make reductions of essential services that we need. As you know, the pandemic came to a conclusion, but the needs of servicing our children has not ended. Our students continue to need additional supports to address the impact of the pandemic. And in addition to that, the cost to provide those services have escalated. So I'm putting that in perspective because I think a lot of that gets lost in translation when we're talking about numbers and cents. And is really important to humanize the work that we do on behalf of our families and children. And that the work that we do, it happens because of many of the people that are in this room here today. And it's not easy, it is not easy work. And I think sometimes the amount of work it takes to educate a child is sometimes minimized when we are talking about the budget. And the implications associated with 1%, 0.9%. And sometimes people don't understand the significance that percentage means in the context of us being able to do the work. So right now, the BET has approved a 4% increase, which now puts us short of that 0.9% that we were banking on, because we wanted to make sure that any potential increase that we were receiving was going to be directly given back to the schools to ensure that we didn't have to make any reductions at the school level. Right now, we are continuing our conversations with the mayor and her team. The mayor is very committed about finding other more creative ways and trying to convince the BET, as well as continuing conversations with the Common Council of the importance of maintaining that 4.9% so that we can maintain all of our staff at the school level, as well as some of the essential services that we're providing at the district level on behalf of schools. The mayor was unable to be here today, but Ashley, always mess up, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Has a written statement from the mayor that she would like to read she would like us to read on her behalf.
Thank you. So Mayor Smith apologizes for not being able to attend tonight's meeting due to a previously scheduled commitment, but sent along remarks regarding last night's BET decision. I want to thank Joe Andrasco and Kendrick Constant for standing up for what I believe is right and joining me voting in favor of the 4.9% increase for the BOE. I'm obviously very disappointed with the outcome of last night's meeting. It has been a priority of mine to collaborate with all of you and heal the past while giving our students and teachers what they need to succeed. 4% I originally proposed was before we learned about the 33% increase in the teacher's healthcare plan. In talking with Dr. Estrella and Mr. Asmani over the last several weeks and hearing what I felt were courageous remarks from the city council members, I felt it was in the best interest of our schools and our community to support the 4.9% increase this year to ensure no loss to student services. I will continue to support NPS and partner with you on ways we can move forward after this decision. Thank you.
So, like I stated earlier, I had a conversation with the mayor this morning with her team. Mr. Asmani and Ms. Bayois was part of that conversation. And she will continue to advocate. There will be a Common Council meeting April 28th, where she will continue to advocate for the 4.9%. We're hoping that the Common Council takes the 4.9% to reconsider reinstating it and maybe bringing it back to the BET so that they might reconsider May 7th when they have their last meeting to potentially move that 4% back up to the 4.9% that we need. I'm going to ask Mr. Asmani to kind of tell a little bit of the narrative of where we were and how the budget process has transitioned and where we are right now and the work that we're hoping to do in the next few days as we continue to advocate for that additional 9.9% that I think will meaningfully impact services at the school level.
Thank you, Superintendent. It has been a tough couple of weeks leading up to this. But before I get started with the presentation, I did want to give a thanks to the team in finance. They've worked extremely hard, long hours. We were on the call yesterday and already trying to figure out how things were going. So thanks to the team of finance. We're still in the process, but I think this year we've had a really collaborative work with members of the cabinet, just in putting together brainstorming ideas, and of course, the BOE, city partners, as superintendent has mentioned, we've been in constant communication with folks across the city. We've had a challenging SPB process. I know many school leaders are in the room, so I also want to give a shout out to all the principals that are here as well, and then the parents. The parents have been with us from the very beginning of this process. We ask you to stick with us. I see some of you in this room. We're still not done with the process. Don't give up because we haven't yet. But with that, I would like to give you an update just on where we are with the budget at this point. Maybe. So when we started the budget process, you recall that the Board of Ed approved a 6.5% increase. Initially, back in February, the mayor proposed, as the superintendent mentioned, a 4% increase. That 4% got us, was about $6 million under what the Board of Ed had approved at the time. As we do every year, in going through the budget process, we update numbers, we update salaries, we update positions. And so we made some updates to the budget from the time that the Board of Ed had approved the budget back in December. Those updates added about $1.1 million additional expenses to the budget. Now, when that happens, we typically don't go back to the city to ask for more. We are tasked with reconciling that and making it part of the reconciliation. So that added to some of the challenges that we had. So with the $1.1 million adjustments, we were at the time looking to reconcile about a $7.2 million difference. As the superintendent mentioned, we do track enrollment. We did see that there is a decline district-wide in enrollment. It's not unique to Norwalk Public Schools. It's also the trend at the state level, and other districts are seeing the same. So being proactive, we also wanted to take that into account. So we spent a good amount of time between the members of the cabinet, our school leaders, working with our demographer, identifying where the shifts were happening in enrollment. We identified where those shifts were, and we worked with school leaders to make adjustments to the staffing and the cost of each school before we even got started with the reconciliation. We typically do this every year, but this year we did see some more significant shift in enrollment. But that was, again, just part of being good stewards and recognizing that we don't want to provide an undue burden on the taxpayers that we rely on for this budget. So with that right sizing adjustments, enrollment-based right sizing, we were able to reduce about $1.2 million from the overall budget. That still left us with a reconciliation amount of just over $6 million. So we met with our school leaders and we started to see how can we make these adjustments. So our first attempt at doing so, we initially were going to have to make about $3.6 million reduction on the non-school side and about 2.3 million reductions on the school side. Again, we've always said from the very beginning that we were really going to try to safeguard positions in the school and make our school budgets whole. So that's kind of where we started with this process. As you know, the budget proceeded to the council, and the council did provide, gave opportunity to the BET to increase our budget by 4.9%. And the mayor included that in her revised recommendation. So that did provide some relief to us. So with that adjustment, we found ourselves in a different position with respect to the budget. So whereas the initial gap of $6 million, that additional 0.9% was able to provide $2.2 million to the district. So now the gap that we were looking to reconcile was $3.8 million. Again, with that 1.1 adjustment, that brought us to just about $5 million in amount to be reconciled. We continue to take into account the right sizing, that brought us to about a $3.8 million outstanding reconciliation. So one of the priorities of the superintendent was to keep the schools whole. So at that time, we kind of shifted, and all of the savings, all of the additional revenue that we received from the city, that was all applied to the schools. As you can see, it did not cover all of the school targets at the time. Even though it didn't, the non-school budget, the non-school side of the budget absorbed the difference. So we kept the schools entirely whole, with the exception of the right sizing for enrollment. And so that was deliberate. So at this particular point, the non-school budgets actually took on additional reductions just so that we could keep our school whole with the anticipation of that funding from the BET. So that's kind of where we were up until today. And this is what we were hoping to be presenting to you tonight as a reconciled budget, that we would be able to present to you a budget that is reconciled and does not impact our schools other than the right sizing. Obviously, you all are aware of what happened last night. So we found ourselves in a situation where now we have to reconsider how could we potentially move forward with this reduction. We still don't know what we're going to do, where the reduction is going to come from. We are encouraged by the letter you just read from the mayor and conversations we're hearing in the community that this may not necessarily be the end of the road. But in any event, I think it is important to make the public aware. If it was the end of the road, what would that look like? Superintendent, were you going to say something?
I think it's important also to add the piece that these numbers also don't yet represent also the teacher's insurance plan, which is something that we're still working around, that would potentially add an additional about $3 million that we would have to figure out as well. And I think it's important to highlight that because as we are computing the numbers, we're working under the assumption that we will figure out a way to resolve that. But right now, those numbers don't represent that. And I think it's important to highlight that.
So where we are now in the process is, we're back to that 4%, which is where we were in February. We've continued to look at areas where we can make adjustments. The superintendent remains committed, as all are we, in keeping the schools whole, but that is a pretty significant lift given the composition of our schools. You've seen me present charts where our staff people reside and work primarily in the schools, so it's not easy to balance the entirety of this budget without impacting schools. So currently what we're looking is potentially close to $1 million in additional reductions to schools. We have just concluded our school-based budget development process, but if this scenario does not change, we will be forced to go back to the schools. You also see that the non-school reductions have gone up from 3.8 million to 5.1 million. Again, this is a continued attempt to try and keep the schools as whole as possible. It would be nice if we did not have to get into the schools, but as the superintendent often mentions, we do have a system that we have to run, and you can only make so many adjustments without impacting the schools. So this is kind of where we are. Included in the non-school reduction, and I only have 2 slides. The next slide, I want to talk about our school meals program and how that is factoring into this equation. So you'll see here, the non-school reductions do include some potential adjustments to the school meals that I'm going to talk about in this final slide. And I apologize for the size of the slides. But when we began this process back in February, and when you approved the budget, the intention of the budget and of the schools was to keep our school lunch program whole as it functions today. So with that in mind, we had budgeted about $2.3 million in transfers from the general fund to the food services fund, keeping us in CEP where all students receive meals. After the budget was approved, you may be aware that there was a proposal that the governor put forward that allowed free breakfast for all students. And so what we did, we looked at our school lunch budget and said, how does this impact the budget? So at that point, when we were looking at the 4.9%, which is where we were up until this time last night, we did a scenario where we are including the governor's proposals for free meals, which provides relief. but we would still wanted to maintain the free meals for those other students, even if they did not qualify for free meals. So with those adjustments, we were able to reduce the general fund transfer to the food services fund by about 900,000, just under $1 million, keeping that in place, feeding all the students. Well, a lot has changed since February, and some of the challenges that were faced with us last night. One of the scenarios that we've put forward to reconcile to the 4% is reevaluating how we do meals in the district. Obviously, the governor's providing relief is very helpful, but this scenario that we have in front of you is going back to the time when students that, or families, not students, family who did not qualify for free and reduced lunches or meals for their students would be paying for some of those meals. And so that pushes the burden from the general fund budget to back to the families who are able to make those meals. So this is the proposal that's there. That does allow us to reduce the contributions into the general fund, and the savings that we capture from doing that would be 1.3 million. But that's a scenario where we're able to reconcile to the 4% and how the school meals change. So we continue to provide meals to all the students. We don't turn students away, but students who are able to pay and don't qualify for those meals, they will be billed, but will still continue to get meals. They will not get turned away if they have negative balances in their account, similar to what we were doing pre-COVID. So that's kind of in a snapshot where we are, and I'd be happy to bring it back to the superintendent or answer any questions that you may have at this time.
And I think it's important to mention the fact that we know that our families have really valued the free meals. When we're in a predicament where we have to make a determination whether we keep the staff in the school or this component, we are put in a really difficult predicament because we value both. Yet keeping our staff in the buildings becomes critical when we've already lost so many people over the course of the past few years with the reductions that we've had to make because we have not been fully funded. So I know that this is a challenge. We're going to continue to advocate to hopefully convince the BET that the 4.9 is critical for us to maintain these essential services. And at the same time, we ask parents and even staff who feel comfortable doing so to write to the BET to express the importance of providing this additional 0.9% because the system is at its breaking point in terms of we can't keep reducing anymore and continue to provide the quality of service that people expect us to do if we continue to lose the essential people that are doing the work. At yesterday's meeting, one of the BET members stated that we needed to appreciate the fact that they've made a large investment in infrastructure. And yes, we are very appreciative of that investment, but that investment becomes not essential when the internal infrastructure of the organization cannot function. We can create beautiful spaces, but if the services and programs that are critical to move student outcomes and achievement are not there, what good is the facility to us? And I think that I needed to state that because the capital processes that are being done are being done because of deferred maintenance that have happened over several decades in this city and are necessary given the fact that the state of our buildings are not in the best condition. And we appreciate what former Mayor Riley, as well as Mayor Smith, have been doing to ensure that our facilities are moving forward in a really positive direction to be state of the arts, and that areas that need to be addressed are. I mean, we've had more leaky roofs than we've ever seen in this district after this horrible winter. And I don't think that that's something that is a luxury, that's a necessity. At the same time, it's also essential that the resources that are put forward so that we can effectively provide services for students is just as critical. And one cannot exist without the other. And I felt last night that there were certain comparisons that were being made that didn't take into account how important it is to be well-staffed and resourced so that we can continue to do the work that this community expects from us, which is to well-educate the future of Norwalk. If our students don't get the tools and resources that they need, Norwalk will not be better tomorrow. And those services also that yield the positive outcomes that we have today also tie to elements that benefit the community at large. When we look at real estate value, when people wanting to come to Norwalk, all of these processes are tied with the quality of schools. And I can speak to a personal narrative. As you know, I'm transitioning and I'm moving to Georgia, and I'm looking at real estate. And I noticed that houses that were like four houses on a row, one house belonged to one cluster, one house belonged to a different cluster. There was $100,000 difference between the two properties just because of the ratings of the schools. So what we do in the school system not only matters for our children, for the future of Norwalk, but it also matters for every taxpayer in this community and the value of their property and the resources that they're putting forward. And I need to state that because sometimes people miss that piece, and there's all this conversation about the 10% of the total city population that's being serviced. No, we don't service just 10% of the total population of Norwalk. We service every single member of this community because what we do in schools has a ripple effect today and tomorrow for the well-being of Norwalk. And I'll turn it now over to questions.
Thank you for that. One of the main things I want to say is the fact that it's the misperception. You know, what I heard last night from the BET, and the misperception is overall, they're just thinking the overall fact of it is that the $3 million that money that allegedly that we're getting on the back end, what they failed to understand is that the $3 million is that the millions that we're already added in to our budget. And that misperception is the issue at hand where there's no clarity to that. Not only that, when it comes to state dollars that's coming in on the back end, there's no guarantee to the actual amount. Those are dollars that are going through not just the city of Norwalk, it's going through the cities, the towns, and the state of Connecticut. And another thing that I heard last night, and Dr. Estrella just mentioned as well, was the community aspect of it. No, we're not just serving our students, and we're serving not only the community, it's the families that counts. If for whatever reason, this decrease not only affects our students, it affects our families. You know, it's one of the main things. In order for us as the Board of Ed to be successful is to make sure that we do our due diligence to make sure that we're providing the services for our students. And that's something that we're doing as well. But when it comes to decision-making, when families are being overlooked, that's the issue at hand that makes a disappointment. However, when it comes to the overall aspect of it, we just have to continue to fight that we need to move forward because our children are our future. In order for us to be successful at what we do, it is our teachers, our administrators, you know, our program leaders, our cabinet superintendent that's making these things possible. So I just want to say that that money is no guaranteed money that's coming in from the state. Last year, we were bailed out, you know, and our goal was not to move forward in the same direction. That's why this year was a little different, and it was different from the fact that we came under what we normally do. And to be honest with you, we need that 6.5, to be honest with you overall, we do need that. However, to also compare what other cities and towns are doing, it's not fair. It's totally different. Those cities and towns are different from one another. So you cannot compare that part of it. You have to compare what we have to do within our own city and what we need to do as a city. Those taxpayer dollars that are going in, yes, it's affecting not just me. It affects you and everyone else. So it's not, that's something that we also have to keep in. However, our future is our future and our children are our future. So that's something that we need to make sure we continue to fight, that fight for the betterment for this city, this district, and our children.
Can I make some comments too? So I just want to say that as the finance committee chair, I was very deeply disappointed in what happened last night. And as a lifelong resident of Norwalk, when I think about a municipal budget, it's more than just spreadsheets and line items. It's a reflection of a community's values. We know that what we care about is reflected in our budget. And I understand that it can be frustrating that folks may be paying for things that they don't use directly. And that's a fair concern. However, school funding is one of those benefits that ripple far beyond any single household. Because when our schools are strong, our communities are stronger. Property values are more stable. Neighborhoods become places where people want to live, to stay, and to put down roots. And our schools help shape the very people we rely on. Our healthcare workers, our small business owners, and our first responders. At the same time, we know there are essential services that keep the city running day to day. Police, fire, sanitation, public works. And these are critical. They meet immediate needs and keep people safe. But education plays a different role. It's not just about today, it's about tomorrow. It's about preparing the next generation and shaping the future of this community over the long haul. And while there may be honest disagreements about spending levels, there's a broad understanding that when we underinvest in education, we all pay the price later, economically, socially, and civically. And in the end, that's what taxes are about. They're about coming together to support shared needs. Not all of us use every service in the same way, but we all benefit from a community that works together. And that's why education holds a very special place, because it connects what we need today with the future that we hope to build together. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? Ms. Diane?
The more I sit here and I listen to what happened last night, I am also on finance, but I'm also on facilities. What Dr. Estrella said today is so important to think about. Beautiful buildings. But what is that beautiful building if you don't have the staff to be able to support the children, the future? At the same time, we've talked about how we made changes. We listened to the community. We did a community session. But what happened there? What no one is seeing is we only had a few parents there. Where was the outcry? Where were all those parents that said that we weren't listening to them? Why are they not coming? Why are they not asking questions? We are giving you the opportunity. Now we are here talking about 4.0 versus a 4.9. We can only fight so much for that money. We need help from the community. The community is what grows Norwalk, not just the Board of Education. We all need to get together and have these conversations. And yes, we need to email the BET because these are conversations that are happening. And what's gonna happen is in a couple of weeks, month, we're all gonna be on that same meeting and that same stage where everyone's gonna be in an uproar. But it's too late at that time. This is the time where you need to be speaking up. And I just want to say, thank you, Linda, for you and your team, because the other thing is people doesn't understand how fluid finance is. It changes all the time between pricing, between enrollment, between if the state gives us money or not. It's constant battle there too. And you and your team are on there 24/7, changing numbers on a daily basis. But I also want to say to the public how important it is to be at those monthly meetings, at any of the committee meetings, facilities, finance, curriculum, special education. Those are the meetings where you get the real detailed information. Here you get some, but at those monthly meetings is where you get more detailed information. So you know what's happening within our community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So I just wanted to share a couple of thoughts, and I mean, I echo what everyone has said. It's frustrating to be having this conversation again. It saddens me, the message that's being given, not only the value of our students, but the value of our educators, our teachers, our paras, all of the staff that keep our schools running, and the message that is sent by the BET in just not valuing those roles the way that we do. But something that's bothering me is some numbers that were just really inaccurate last night. And I don't know, I read Nancy on Norwalk this morning, which cleared up some numbers by sharing some census data. So it was stated last night that we're addressing 10% of our population with what we do. And that's not accurate. The residents under the age of 19 make up about 20.5% here in Norwalk. It was said last night that 25% of our population is over 65. That census data from 2024, it says that 65 and older population in Norwalk is about 16.8%. So the numbers not even being shared correctly really bothers me. But again, it's not about the numbers. It's about, what this really means and what we're valuing.
I would like to share some thoughts. I agree with the eloquent statements of our board members and of the superintendent. I want to address one thing that I heard was said last night, and that is to the older section, that 16-17% of Norwalk. I am part of that section. I am a grandmother. And many people who have raised children and reached that stage on a pension or whatever, there is a sense of the joy of the next generation. And the importance of that next generation seems more vividly to me and to many of my associates in my age group. And so I counter what I heard last night, that we are neglecting the older folks who do not want to contribute to what young people, what our school system is doing. And I counter that with my feelings and with those that I know that are in my age group. So that's really what I want to say.
Thank you. Any more comments, questions in reference to the board?
Okay, so I just want to thank the board for your time, and I just want to reiterate that our scholars are worth the investment. Norwalk is worth the investment, and if Norwalk sees a future of success and a next phase of taxpayers, the BET needs to readjust their percentage and reallocate that 4.9%, because our children deserve that and even more. And like Chairperson White articulated, we need 6.5, and we are right now begging them to maintain the 4.9. With that, I conclude my superintendent report.
Thank you. We're gonna go into our next action consent. And at this point in time, here's 5 items that we're going to discuss right now. Before we go into any motions, are there any questions as far as our personnel, approval of personnel, approval of budget transfers, approval of trips, approval of minutes last month?
On the minutes, I would just like it to be added that the Nathan Hale Middle School sang the national anthem. You mentioned that they were present, but the minutes didn't record that they sang the national anthem at Sacred Heart.
Thank you for that as well. If there's any other further, can I have a motion for approval for personnel, budget transfers, approval of trips, and approval of minutes? Ashley, please.
So moved.
Second. Here, all in favor? Yeah, thank you. We're gonna go into our next item, which is under action. It's the approval of the ED 99 authorized signature change form. Due to the staff changes, the Norwalk Public Board of Education approved the submission of the ED 099 authorizing signature change, authorizing Howard White and Ashley Blugas as the official signatures for the Children Nutrition Program. I have a motion.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Above it.
We did that.
No, we didn't.
We just approved them.
We just.
Oh, because you didn't mention. Oh, I didn't hear.
I don't think, I think it's just the consent calendar refers to those 4 things.
Yep,
There was-
here.
Okay. Consent calendar.
Okay. Now we're gonna go into item B. I'm going to ask for to table the approval of our BOE operation budget.
I'll move to table, voting on the BOE operating budget at this time while we wait to continue to advocate.
Second.
All in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. Now we're gonna go into appointment of principal and civil line dual language magnet program. Before we go into that, Sean, would you like to say something?
Thank you. I want to thank the board for giving me the opportunity to recommend Jules Dula for the role. Duje. Sorry. Jules Duje. Sorry about that. As the next principal of Silvermine Dual Language School. I want to start off with a little narrative, and he probably doesn't even realize this, but the first time I met Jules, I'm gonna call you by first name, it's okay. I was at Kendall Elementary at a visit, and Jules was in the hallway. We had a child in crisis, and Jules caught my attention because when I see people doing good things for children, it always catches my attention. The way that Jules was caring and nurturing this child and de-escalating the child was a sight to be seen. The love, care, compassion, empathy that he exhibited that day made me go into the principal's office and say, who's that person? And just like question like who this person was, because he was doing such an incredible job of supporting this little young person. And from that day, I kept observing Jules and the work that he was doing in supporting the social emotional needs of students at Kendall. And it's always been so inspiring to see him exude love for the kids across this district. So when we wanted to provide support for West Rocks because of some of the concerns that were rising around SEL needs as well as some behavior intervention support, I told the team, I think we have the perfect person for this. And Jules came to my mind immediately because of the way I've always seen him engage in such love and care for young children. And when he transferred to West Rock, I just saw how his energy alongside the leadership of Dr. Reynolds and the team just shifted the culture and environment of that school community. So when we engaged in conversation of needing new leadership at Silvermine and listening to the feedback from the community of what they wanted to see in the school, I had no doubt in my mind that he was the right person to place at the school in an interim acting role. And since his time there, the feedback that I have received from the community has been nothing but the best of things about how he bridges a sense of community in the school, how he's been engaging and bringing families together in unprecedented numbers, and people in the community really feeling heard, loved, and cared for. So with that, I could read his bio, but it's gonna be online. I thought it was, to me, more important to elevate the human aspect of Jules and what makes him the right fit for Silvermine. So with that, I would like to recommend Jules as the future principal of Silvermine Elementary. And after your motion, I would, depending on how you vote, I would like to invite Jules to share feelings.
Thank you for that. Before we go into our motion for that, we take this opportunity to thank you, Jules, as well, for stepping in to your role. It's not easy stepping into a role of that magnitude, being adapted to it. But the community accepts you with open arms, and your leadership and your skills that you came involved and got each and every, not only the students, but the parents involved. That's the intro part that you stressed and that you brought to the table, and I truly appreciate that. One of the hardest things, overall, is when you're walking into somewhere, sometimes those don't want to accept change. And that's not easy, because being accepted overall. However, your willpower, your tenaciousness, your attitude, your focus, your commitment, that was before it got to Silvermine overall. I remember over there at West Rock, when you was over there and you came on board over there at West Rock, and we had the opportunity, because I had a son that was over there that was not doing the necessary things that he needed to do. So you stepped in to help that process. So I truly appreciate that as well. So, but that speaks for what you represent and what you stand for. So I just wanted to just take this opportunity to say that and to thank you as well.
I like, do you go first? Oh.
I just want to add, Mr. Duche, you are amazing. Norwalk Public Schools are so blessed to have someone like you. And we're just so thankful for your yes. I remember when you were appointed for the interim, and I saw you at an event, and I was commending you and thanking you for your yes. And you were saying how the kids, I'm here to do the work. I love the kids, and, we're going to just push through and get through it. So Silvermine, we hear you. The superintendent heard you. The Board of Ed heard you, and you are in great hands. You have nothing to worry about under Mr. Duche's leadership.
Jules, you can see we're fighting to say good things that we've observed. I want to say I've watched you, we've been talking about what you do. I've watched some students near you and they just glow. They can't wait to give you a hug. I saw many middle school students do that. And so that doesn't happen by chance. I would agree that for Silvermine, we are confident and you're telling us the same thing, but we all see the same, that your leadership will heal and bring our students to the best of their abilities. Thank you for saying yes.
So I've not yet had the chance to meet Jules personally, but Silvermine itself is a very personal subject for me. I actually went to Silvermine. If you're familiar with Urban Hall, Principal Urban was my principal, and I was there when they were initially starting getting it going with the mano a mano, and to see how it's blossomed over the years. And I know that the last couple of years there has been a struggle, and I know how much all of us appreciate, not just those of us on the board, but the parents and the students, you stepping in when you were so needed. And I know Silvermine has a bright future in your hands, so thank you.
So I just want to say, I've heard nothing but amazing things. And having 2 kids in the school system, I look at that position very important. And I look at some of the other principals that are in the district, and the fact that you put kids first, let me just say that again. The fact that you put kids first, that speaks volumes. So thank you.
Thank you.
Can I just say one thing?
Sure.
I just wanted to let the staff know, because I see some staff members here, that I did get your anonymous note. So duly noted. I don't know who sent it to me, but I got a beautiful note giving accolades to Mr. Duje. And I just want to thank you. I also want to thank, I know I see some members of the SGC here. Thank you for your efforts in going through the interview process and engaging in the process with fidelity. So kudos to the SGC of Silvermine and for the work that you put forward in making that happen. So thank you.
Thank you. Now, further ado, can we have a motion for the appointment of Principal of Silvermine dual language work?
I will proudly make a motion for Jules Duje to be appointed as principal of Silvermine Dual Language Magnet School.
Second by,
I will second that motion.
all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Unanimous.
Mr. Duje. You see, he's not looking at me now. I just need you to know that your mom is watching. Congratulations. She is so proud of you.
Don't make me cry.
You've made me cry like 4 times tonight. And
I'm trying to make it a 5th.
primeramente le quiero dar un abrazo caluroso a todas mis familias latinas, a mis alumnos. Gracias. Dear Dr. Estrella and members of this prestigious board, thank you for the support and for your vision. I also want to express my gratitude to our board members for their steadfast work in supporting our education system and this broader community. While there are many people to thank tonight, I really cannot begin to list because the opportunity to be up here only happens because of team. I want to specifically acknowledge Kendall and West Rocks, my former schools, for the memories and the opportunities for growth. And from my brothers of the Circle of Success, I thank you for always making yourselves available to me for all and any questions that come your way. My close members of the central office team that for years always believed in me, always gave me a chance. I don't even have to name you, just thank you. I am very motivated, but also I will find every way possible to continue to support my students. And now to my Silvermine Swan champions and our bilingual leaders of the world, this is our time. This is our time. And since joining you in January of 2026, my life has been transformed. I have entered a beautiful community that prepares scholars for the real world through bilingualism, literacy, and cultural competence. And as a Spanish language learner myself, I understand the vital career pathways that can be available when you speak two languages. My leadership style is transformational. I believe that there are no followers. Every person I see is a leader. I can't tell you the amount of people that I have to thank, but my paraprofessionals, Beth Edwards is one of my best friends for years. We've been sending each other gratitude notes for over 7 years. And just showing up. And I thank you really for that, Beth. I want to also ground this. Whoever does get to know me knows that I work with 3 things, and my leadership style, just as you mentioned, is my students, my teachers, and my parents. To my students, you are the center of my work. I will fight tirelessly to ensure that you are heard and seen, no matter the circumstance. And I will measure my success by the joy that you express when you enter our school, and together we will focus on achieving our goals. That part of success is only measured with a high five and a hug. We'll take care of the rest. To my teachers, and I've been blessed to have an amazing group, and here they are tonight, 3 months in, and look at the love that I get from them. I love you guys, really. Thank you so much for being here. You are the foundation of the high level instruction that we always hear about, and you do it in 2 languages. You nurture our students' curiosity, and you spark their genius to bring out the best of every student. To my parents, and you all know we got some Swan moms over there. You are the essential partners, and my doors are always open. I often communicate, ask questions if I need to, and I'm always committed to communicating with clarity and upholding you as my vital members of my team. I look forward to our shared success at Silvermine. Our outcomes will be measured not just by scores and attendance, but by the joy that we experience every single day in the work that we do. Finally, to my social workers, please never stop believing. Don't give up. Don't let anyone step into your dreams with their nightmares. Thank you.
Okay, thank you once again. Now we're gonna move to our next item, and that is the appointment of the Superintendent Search Committee, Hiring Committee. I'd like to move that the board hereby establish a Superintendent Search Committee, Personnel Search Committee authorized by the Connecticut General Statute Section 1-200-7 for the purpose of conducting a search and recommendation to the Board of Candidates for the position of the successor of the Superintendent of Schools. And furthermore, move that the board hereby appoint the voting board members of the education to serve as the members of that committee. And I have a second to that.
I was second them.
Okay, Ashley. All in favor? Aye. Thank you. I'm gonna move on as well. The acceptance. I'd like to move that the Board of Education accept with thanks the resignation of the Superintendent Alexander Estrada. Before we go into that motion, let me just take this opportunity to just say personally, these 2.5 years and seeing that your fight and your willpower and your commitment, no one can ever can say that you don't care. What you have brought to this district, what you have brought to not only the district, the central office, but most importantly, what you have brought to the classroom as far as your teachers and your administrators speaks, Mayor. The increase of staffing that you have brought in to work very closely with our students when I go on those. Your fight every day, every night, it doesn't matter what it is when I go on those. I know it's not easy every year getting to the point, and you just had to witness this last night. It was just unfortunate. I was hoping that you didn't have to go through this. We didn't have to go through this, but it's just a sad thing because one of the main things I didn't want you to leave without going out with that fight, not worrying about this part of it, you know, because what they don't fail to understand is what led last year could easily lead to this year as well. And that was not an easy process last year, and it's not an easy process overall. But your willpower, your fight, your work ethic, I appreciate that. I thank you. I wish you truly, truly luck. And Gwinnett County is about to get a good one. And I just wanted to say that. Thank you.
I'd like to say something as well. First, I'm upset because I just started working and now you're leaving. But I'm extremely happy because I know you're going to continue to do amazing things. Success doesn't just happen. Growth doesn't just happen without rolling up your sleeves, getting in the fight. And you've done that from day one. So I just want you to know that I appreciate that. My family appreciates that. My neighbors, my community appreciates that. So just know that you've set up something very important here in that work. Thank you.
For me, Estrella, it has been an honor working with you for the past 6 years. I remember the day you walked through that door for your interview. And from that day, you have always put children first. You've always said the children come first, no matter what. You are a visionary. You are excellent at what you do. You are a hard worker. Sometimes we've had to put the brakes on you and tell you you need to like rest, because if you don't take care of yourself, you're not going to be here for the children that you work for. The number of times standing next to you at my stage in graduation and hearing these students say thank you because you saw them, because you heard them, And they know that if it wasn't for you, they wouldn't have been crossing that stage. Gwinnett County is so lucky to have you. And to think about, through COVID, you still made strides forward. That says a lot about you. And I just want to say thank you.
Let me say something. Alex, it's been a pleasure to work with you. As Diana indicated, your vision, your professionalism, your work ethic, and your ability to elevate this district, but particularly your work in assembling a team that really went after the equity piece of it. This district for a long time was not doing that. We continue to live with this gap in education. And so in addition to lifting the district up as a whole, I particularly appreciate the work that you all did under your leadership around equity. And they're lucky to have you.
I'd like.
I also would like to second that equity comment that Sherry McCready made. A year ago at this time, I was on the other side of the fence. I was one of those angry parents yelling at all of you. And I decided to join this board, and as part of this process, it's been a humbling process, but it's been a learning process, and the things that I've learned about you, which I've spoken to you personally about, that I connect with you personally about, they go a long way. And I want to really second what Sherry's saying, because I have seen you fight for equity. I've seen the systems that you put in place to fight for equity. I've seen the pushback you received from doing those very same things in this community. And I wish you the best, and I hope that that legacy of equity continues in Norwalk, because it's sorely needed, and I hope the next person we find can match that.
I would like to go back to about 6-7 months ago, when the report came in that we had 3 years of continuous growth in our national and our state scores. I want to go back to that moment because I bring to this board 44 years of teaching experience. I've worked in inner city schools. I've worked with diverse communities, and our dream in every school I was in was to raise the reading scores, raise the math scores. We worked diligently as hard as we could, and I never saw growth like under your leadership. You inspired your cabinet, inspired the educational leaders, and inspired the teachers who touched our kids and moved them through the WIN program and all of these strategies to lift up our kids to be able to read competently and use their intellectual powers. So I would like to share my hope for great success for you, and I want you to know it has been an honor also for me to work with you. Thank you.
Oh, go ahead, Jen. Obviously, I echo what everyone else has said. It's been really quite an honor to work with you, Alex. The equity that you've brought to this district and the growth that has come is massive. I think that what stands out for me is knowing that you will fight for and see and respect every single child in this district, regardless of their identity, their race, their ethnicity, their status. Every child is seen by you for exactly who they are. And I thank you for that. It means a lot.
So as one of the newer members of the board, it's funny because not everyone here knows, but I actually got to meet Dr. Estrella first during COVID. my dad was still with us, but he knew that, you know, he was in his late 80s, and so he wanted to, as a former member of the board, he wanted to donate books to, at that time, the two high schools. And so I still remember, you know, Dr. Strick coming to meet us on the porch, and us being able to hand off those books. And I was looking forward to being able to, once I actually got on the board, I was looking forward to actually doing work with you. But going back to my dad, one of his biggest things when he was on the board was the inequities, not just in the classrooms themselves, but the lack of a proper school for the community of South Norwalk. And you know, there's a part of me that wishes my dad was still around for when you were finally able to lay ground and get that built, because I know that he went up against so much opposition. I know there was at least one time he joked he'd rather be back in Vietnam. And just you pushing through all of that to get that done for those students who have been waiting for literally decades for a school in their district. I not only want to thank you on my own behalf, but on behalf of my father, for everything that you did for this school district. I am sorry to see you go, but I wish you all the best. I know you will fight the same fight that you've been doing, and you'll do great things wherever you go. So thank you.
Dr. Sherry, I just want to thank you for all that you have done for the Norwalk Public Schools. Us on the board, we know that this role is often a thankless job. And even though it is a thankless job, you're not in the business of thanks and accolades, right? But also you always just talk highly about how you're in the service of kids, and all of your decisions and all of the way that you carry yourself, and just even to watch you interact with children. There's no separation, you know, you work for them, and you also let them know that you're there for them and you care for them. And that is just something that doesn't always happen. And your work ethic is unmatched and it's very inspiring. And you have left your impact here, and we are just really grateful. It's definitely bittersweet, but as another woman, I'm just so proud of you and your courage to continue to soar on, and also being a woman of integrity, and every decision that you make, thinking about the students, all 11,500 students here, and every child means something to you, and it was very evident in that. And you have brought the Norwalk Public Schools a mighty long way. And we are just appreciative of what you've been able to do and the time that you were here, and the system that you have set in place for the, great work to continue. And also just appreciate your willingness and the collaboration, and how, approachable and nice you've been being able to work together here as a board member. And definitely have learned a lot, and I'm so grateful for you, and congratulations on your new opportunity, and can't wait to read and hear all about the good work that you'll continue to do.
Mis primeras palabras para usted fueron en español.
En la entrevista.
Y quiero darle las gracias por todas las familias en Norwalk y todos los estudiantes. Y muchas gracias por su amistad todos estos años. Y que le vaya bien.
So I wasn't prepared to speak, but in this job, you always have to be ready. I think the first thing, I just want to thank the community for allowing me to be your superintendent over the course of 6 years. Believe it or not, I'm the longest standing superintendent in a few decades in Norwalk, and that has not been the easy feat. The minute I stepped foot in Norwalk, my biggest commitment was always, and in every job that I do, is to make sure that every child is seen. And that when we think about the work, we're always thinking about what is best for children. And I remember when I started and started engaging in conversations with staff and different faculty, there was a really adult-centered approach in the way in which people in Norwalk talked about the work. And students were never at the center of the conversation. And one of the things that I chipped slowly, little by little, was shifting the conversation that every time we sat at the table, the first piece of the conversation was always centered on what was best for kids, or any decision that we were making that was always centered on what was best for kids first. And then what were the supports and structures that we needed to put in place for adults so that they can work well on behalf of children. At the same time, making sure that every single child and family in the district was seen, noticed, and heard. Because a lot of times those that need the most help are usually the ones that are seen the least. And it's always been really important to me that everyone is seen, that everybody is heard, and that everyone is supported. So I hope that my legacy in Norwalk is that I've always put children first, that I've been unequivocally committed to doing what is best for children. And that I hope as the board continues to embark in this important journey of servicing on behalf of the Norwalk community, that the next person that sits in this chair is someone that is also committed in doing the great work for children. And that puts equity at the center, despite of the polarization of what's happened with our work nationally, that whoever sits in this seat continues to think about how to ensure that the gaps continue to close, that all students thrive, that all students have access, and that all students have the ability to aspire and achieve the dreams, because we as Norwalk Public Schools are setting the path for them to be able to do that. Again, thank you, Norwalk, for giving me this opportunity. It's been an amazing roller coaster of joy, tribulations, but most importantly, a steady, fast commitment, making sure that all students thrive. I want to thank the board for working alongside me, and especially the first board that appointed me to this job, because they had an enormous responsibility in selecting the superintendent, in the same way that the board that's here today will have an enormous responsibility in selecting the next superintendent for our community. Again, thank you. I'm looking forward to celebrating with everyone an amazing close of the year with graduations and moving up ceremonies. So I hope to see everyone in the next few weeks. I will be back and forth because I'm also transitioning in Gwinnett, and there's a lot of work there to be done too. So I'm really excited of the opportunity of servicing over 178,000 students across 16 cities within the county of Gwinnett. So I'm really hopeful for the great things that I will be able to accomplish there alongside the team that's there that have already made great strides. And I'm hoping to continue to push the work forward so that even more students across this country continue to get the resources they need through a great education so that they can continue to aspire and achieve their goals. Again, thank you.
Thank you. Do I have a second for that motion?
1 second.
All in favor?
Unfortunately, we must.
Okay, before we move forward, I would like to make a motion to add an item to the agenda. I would like to make a motion to add the appointment of an interim superintendent to the agenda.
A second.
Okay. All in favor?
All in favor? Aye.
Okay, so my next motion, now that that's on the agenda, I would like to move that the board hereby appoints Sandra Fayois to serve as interim. Effective at the end of Dr. Estrella's service and subject to the approval of the Commissioner of Education in accordance with statute. And I know before anyone seconds it, I know we all have many things probably to say, but just for folks who may not know, Sandra's been with our district since 2012 and has began in Norwalk as a teacher and has held many, many different roles as she has now been recently our deputy superintendent. Sandra has been an excellent second in charge to Dr. Estrella, and there was really no question as the board talked to know who we wanted to hold down the fort while we go through the search process. And if anyone else wants to chime in.
Yes, I also think it's very important to always, I always like to, coming from the corporate outside of it, I always like to look at growth within. And I think that was very important, being the deputy superintendent and learning today for the 14 years that the service you have provided for this district, and you started in this district 14 years ago to be in the position right now. I also thought it was very important to, it's going to be hard to try to adapt to what Dr. Estrella built here. However, to continue the process is what's very important. And I think that's the key part of it. And the fact that the cabinet is involved in the process and working with it is very important. So I just want to take this opportunity to say I'm looking forward to working with you. The community is looking forward to working with you as well. So once again, I want to say thank you for taking this opportunity. Thank you.
Who would know better than Sandra exactly what our wonderful superintendent has given us? You know the structure, you know the strategies. We're going to go from here to graduation and then to the transition. Nobody has to coach you. You know, you shared, and we, speaking for myself and I think others, feel so fortunate that we can okay, we're going to make it. We're going to make it. We're going to get there. And thank you for opening your heart and saying yes, you would be our interim. Thank you.
So Sandra, gracias. I think the other thing too is the importance of also having someone that's actually bilingual and speaks multiple languages. The fact that you've come up through the ranks and you're a perfect example to other staff members in the community, in the district, to show that you can, come up the ranks. And I love seeing all of your students that come up to you, so happy to see you after all these years from being your teacher. So thank you for saying yes.
I just want to say that this is, and I think I'm speaking for all of us here, a very pleasant no-brainer for us. You want to have someone who can step in and who can continue the good work. And I know that we're in good hands. And I just want to say thank you.
I would like to add to, thank you so much for your yes. It's again, a very important position, and also being, our deputy and with the second in command, I'm sure very privy to all of the things that it entails, and to still want to step in at this time to continue such important work. To still step up and, at this important time to continue such a amazing work that you have been a part of too, so just thank you so much for that. And I definitely look forward to you being just who you are and operating out of your own strength and skill, and look forward to working alongside you. And just thank you for all that you've done, being in this district for 14 years definitely shows that you are in service of children, and there's no question about that. So thank you and congratulations.
I concur with Ms. Prezi in that, given what you know and that you still want to take on this very challenging role. However, it's important that we do have some continuity so that we can continue with all of the progress that's been made, and I think that you'll be able to do that with the team.
I just want to say welcome, Sandra. I think it's uniquely incredible that you've spent so much time in the Norwalk Public School District, and not only on this board, but outside of this board, everybody speaks really highly of you. So that's a credit to you and what you've done. And we're really excited to have you. You actually bring a sense of relief in this difficult process. So we're gonna be leaning on you. Thank you.
So this speaks to the importance of succession planning. And I wouldn't be the superintendent if I didn't reiterate that as we talk about the budget, and people sometimes don't see the value of building systems and structures to ensure that if something happens, there is a plan of action that can support the system. And this is a perfect example of that. Coupled with, I worked alongside Sandra over the course of my 6 years here at different capacities, and Sandra has transitioned through different roles, and all of it is because I saw in her the enormous capacity that she had to do the work and do it well. And I don't think that there was a task that I've ever asked Sandra or a project that we were working together that Sandra didn't do that work well. So when I was asked or questioned about Sandra's capacity to do this work, I had no doubt in my mind that she would be the right person to hold the fort. And we've worked as partners, and I always talk about my cabinet and how exceptional my cabinet is, and the outstanding work that all of the members of the cabinet do. And Sandra is no exception with that. So I know that she will continue to make me proud and continue to make the board proud in terms of the work that she will do as she holds the board, and so that the board can identify a new superintendent. And the board might even change their mind and keep. But thank you, Sandra, for your leadership as my partner in crime in the work, and I'm really excited for this opportunity for you and what you're going to do on behalf of students.
Thank you. I need a second.
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Yes.
It is official.
Thank you. So you'll have two crying people up here. Already with Lunda, but thank you so much. I love Norwalk. My husband often says that I live in Norwalk and sleep in Stamford. But it's true because, I've been here for so long and I'm so deeply committed to this community. But part of what makes Norwalk so special are the very things that we're fighting for. And then I think that I thank you so much, Chair White, for trusting me. You and Secretary Gullias have your steadfast leadership during these past few months have actually landed us where we are today. And I really appreciate that, along with your collaboration with the board. I also thank former Chair Diana Carpio and former Vice Chair Sherry McCready-Pritchett, because you laid the foundation for the equity work. You guys fought alongside Dr. Estrella to make sure that we were bringing that in the forefront. And I thank this board because I think everybody on this board has a shared commitment to children and to students. And that is very, very apparent. And I think that that is a uniting thing between you and the members of our team. I would be remiss if I didn't thank my partners in crime, my cabinet members who work alongside me. They make everybody look good because we're all so efficient. There hasn't been a project that has been given to them that they haven't totally knocked out of the park. It's the same for our principals. We have great principals in this district. We have great colleagues. I have a great team behind me, and it does make Norwalk such a special place. I think Dr. Estrella met me and saw something in me that she decided that it was worth investing in. Thank you for your mentorship. Thank you for raising the bar. Thank you for doing all the things that everybody else here has named. It would be senseless for me to try to name all the ways that you've impacted, not just me, but the entire community. You're going to be missed tremendously, and we're going to be keeping tabs on you to make sure that we understand what you're doing, maybe steal some ideas. But I do promise to hold in my strategies and in my approach to the work, centering children. I always have. I'm always been a teacher at heart, and that is what teachers do. And I also hold very, very dear to my own value system, making sure that everything we do is through an equity lens. Because when we say things like, I love Norwalk, that means you love all children. And there's no way that you can say, I love Norwalk, which is the logo for Norwalk, without loving children. And so I thank you for the confidence. And I promise to keep the seat warm until somebody else is identified. And I'll make sure to call Dr. Estrella if I need any help. So thank you so much, and I really appreciate it. What an honor. Thank you.
Yeah. Like to move along. Information and reporting, like the next item on the agenda is the monthly financial report.
You already did.
You did receive the financial reports in your handout. You have the details, you have the PowerPoint. I don't want to delay this meeting any longer, but if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer. Thank you.
Thank you. Next item is committee representative. You have any reports to report?
I will report that the Specialized Learning Curriculum Subcommittee did not meet this week and instead will be meeting on Tuesday, May 5th at 5:30. And a note from the Norwalk Public Libraries, the main branch library, the elevator is being replaced. Patrons can still come in and get books and more, and can also use all databases at home, including free homework help with live tutors. And the elevator should be back up and running sometime in June.
I'll just add for policy, we did meet in April as well, that we're gonna meet on May 14th at 5 o'clock.
Okay, if I could add for curriculum, we are going to meet on the 28th of April. We switched our time for all the budget reasons, I think. That's April 28th.
Okay, move along. Any board members announcement anything you'd like to announce? Anything exciting?
Yes, I would like to share, the Norwalk School System through Emily Morgan and through other members of the board, where there will be a celebration at the Green on Saturday for Earth Day Festival, starting at noon to 4. It's going to be a lot of fun. Our kids are going to be there. There'll be booths and speeches and opportunities to learn more about our environment. So I hope everybody shows up. And I have some buttons with me. If there's anybody here that wants a Earth Day button, I'll be happy to give it to you.
And rain or shine, right?
Rain or shine. And they have hundreds of parkas, so in case it's raining,
All right.
we'll help you out.
If I could just add to that real quick, please show up, please support. Grab a friend, grab a neighbor, come, rain or shine, probably rain, but come and support, please. Thank you.
Garrett's lovely wife is one of the organizers, and she's doing a wonderful job. Nisha.
And for those of you that aren't aware, this coming weekend, the 30th, 1st and 2nd, so I graduated from CGS at Brown McMahon, but I did start at Norwalk High and was part of the music program, and that is still very near and dear to me. And they are going to be putting on what I know will be an amazing production of Chicago. So if you haven't gotten tickets, I highly recommend that you do. I know it will be well worth your money.
I suppose along those lines, though my daughter is too young to be in it, she is at CMS, and CMS is very excited to put on SpongeBob this weekend on Friday and Saturday. So if anyone is interested on SpongeBob the musical, CMS has that this weekend, and then Norwalk High has Chicago next weekend. And I think there's a couple of others. Nathan Hale is this weekend. And I want to say Brookside might also have something this weekend. So there's lots of theater and drama around the district. So
I'll just add another event that's coming up. So May 2nd, May is Mental Health Awareness Month. And then May 2nd is an event at the Norwalk Green. That will be at 10 a.m. to 1:30, and that is being put on by many different organizations, but Positive Directions, the Human Services Council, and Norwalk Acts, many different partners here in the city. So it will be an amazing event. It's on the green, and then there's also going to be a walk. That's the Norwalk Walks for Mental Health. And there also will be students talking about their own journey there, their own journey through mental health. So thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, one more thing, sorry. I just wanted to add that the district hosted a first-time home ownership workshop today for the parents. And that was really amazing to see. I was also able to see the line of parents like waiting to get in and filling up the parking lot. So that is also another point to show, to emphasize to the community that the district isn't only servicing children, it's for the family. So that is amazing. I look forward to hearing about what everyone learned and about the attendance. So thank you all for, who thought of that and partnering with the community for that.
Thank you. Okay, further ado, could we move along to our next item? We're going to executive session. So can I have a motion to go into executive session with the Dr. Estrada as well as Kimberly, Carolina?
So move and slash.
No.
So
Motion?
motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
For those in attendance here and online, the Board of Education will now be going to executive session. We will adjourn following executive session. And we are live.
Good evening. We're back. Can I have a motion to come out of executive session?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, can I have a motion to adjourn?
That's it.
Thank you.
Good night. Thank you, Chetty. Thank you.